Good afternoon, everybody. A very happy new year from the Gtech Community Stadium in West London, and welcome to the Matchday live preview in association with Standard Chartered as Liverpool start 2023 as they started 2022 in the capital and on the chase. Not quite for the title at the moment, but looking to gun down the top four, and they can move closer with a victory here at Brentford this afternoon. Lots to discuss over the course of the next 10 minutes or so. We will talk about Liverpool's aspirations for the next 12 months. We'll talk about Liverpool's new signing Cody Gakpo, who won't feature today, but hopefully will have a huge influence over the rest of the season. The threat that Brentford pose, are on a good run of 5 games unbeaten at the moment, and our guest will pick their 11 to face the Bees in West London this afternoon. And that guest is Tash Dowie, who is alongside me. Happy New Year.
A happy New Year to you too.
Well, Liverpool, as I said, they are on the chase, and it looks a lot different, doesn't it, having had a couple of wins over Christmas, those 2 going into the World Cup break. Suddenly there's a little bit of momentum building for Liverpool. Yeah, I
think that's a positive thing for Liverpool right now, is that they're not playing that great, but they're winning games. And, you know, having played the game, that's always a good sign. So they're in good form, they're in a good run of form, winning games. And, you know, they're coming up against a tough team today in Brentford. You know, they've got a really good form as well at the moment. I think they're unbeaten their last 5 or 6 games. So it's not going to be an easy game. Ivan Toney on form as well, but really looking forward to it.
When we look at what could happen over the course of the next 12 months, the club's currency is trophies. It's being successful. We already know that they're not going to go the full hog and play a ridiculous 63 games like they did last year, but look, there are 2, possibly with a miracle, 3 trophies still to go for.
Yeah, there is. And, you know, this is Liverpool Football Club. You know, they're in this team, and this club is winning trophies and being successful. You know, they've got a terrific manager. These players haven't just turned bad players overnight. Yes, they're going through a bit of a dip in form, but also the form that this team has showed after the last 4 or 5 years. You know, it's going to happen. They've been phenomenal, you know, so you've got to expect that. But now it's down to these players to try and find that form again. And hopefully, you know, like I said, they're winning games. Now it's just about keeping a bit more tight in the back. They're leaking too many goals, but the positive thing is they're creating so many chances. Now it's about putting them away.
I was going to say, certainly looking at positives going forward, there have been a lot of signs of the old Liverpool that we know and love.
Yeah, it really has been. You know, it's at the moment, as a Liverpool fan as well, it's not easy watching them play. It's like a heart attack sometimes. You know, the last game against Leicester, it should have been dead and buried, and, you know, the amount of chances that we squandered was poor. But as a centre forward myself, when you know you're getting those opportunities and the amount of opportunities, it's exciting. And the likes of Nunes, Salah, they'll start scoring those goals sooner rather than later, hopefully today.
Jurgen Klopp said it in a build-up, particularly to the Aston Villa game, that one of the keys this season, and looking at 12 months in the first block up to the end of this season, is to get top 4. And certainly Tottenham and Manchester United will feel Liverpool on their tails at the moment.
Yeah, 100% they will, you know, and it's just taking it game by game. I know it's cliched, but that's really key. And the form that the boys are in, they'll be really confident. They know it's going to be a tough challenge today, but if they can come away here with 3 points, like I said, a clean sheet as well would be massive for them. I think that's really important and something they need to focus on.
It's interesting, isn't it, because we've been used to title races in the last few seasons where it's felt like even a draw has been an absolute disaster, but when it's the top 4, there's a little bit more room for manoeuvre and room for error.
Yeah, there is, but you know what? I think inside that changing room, I honestly believe that this Liverpool team are not thinking of just making top 4. They're winners. You know, they want to be winning this Premier League. And, you know, they've done it before. You know, 11 points behind City, then made the near comeback. So, you know, even though they'll probably be looking as a top 4 right now to just try and kick on, they'll still be wanting to win this Premier League. And there's still a long way to go.
You talked about the forward players already with Nunes and Salah. How excited are you about the prospect of Cody Gakpo? Not today, but in the near future.
Very excited. You know, I've actually been watching him for a long time now. One of my best friends plays over at PSV for the women's team, so I follow that team very closely, and he's a really exciting prospect, and I'm really excited to see how he blends and how he fits in. His stats are frightening. You know, he scores so many goals, he assists as well, and his form in the World Cup was really good, 3 and 5, so hopefully he can get, you know, his clearance and be involved very soon.
We talked about Sadio Mane just off camera a few moments ago, and one of the great things about him was his flexibility. The same can be said for Diogo Jota and Cody Gakpo as well. What would you think his best position is across the front 3?
I'd probably say his strongest out wide, but I've also seen him play in the 9, and he even sometimes can play in the 10 in behind the front 3 in that midfield role. So I think it's exciting. You know, I think that's the key about our, you know, front 6 with the amount of players we've got. Everyone's so flexible and everyone plays that role. Even Nunes maybe today might be seen out left. You can bring Bobby Firmino back in through the middle, and I think that's key. I really do, that you've got that flexibility to be able to change, bring players on to strengthen the team.
Well, that is the thing, isn't it? Because you looked, the the game against Villa on Boxing Day was a prime example that they had the three forward, no Firmino, so it was Oxlade-Chamberlain, Salah and Nunez, and there was really nowhere to go if it wasn't working. You're relying on that, whereas you need the chance, particularly with the amount of games we hope Liverpool will play between now and May, to rotate between players.
Yeah, you do. And, you know, the injuries have killed Liverpool a little bit with Diaz. Obviously, Jota's been out for a long time now. So I think, obviously, Cody coming in will be massive for them. Great to see, hopefully, Bobby back in contention today as well. And like you said, talking about Nunez, he's heavily involved in all the action at the moment. He just needs to start converting more. And then I really do think his game will go to another level. And Salah as well, he's always involved in the goals, but still probably not hitting form like we know of Salah. So hopefully today's the day where everything turns around and we see a little bit more of the old Liverpool.
As for Gakpo, we've seen a lot of Liverpool forwards in the Jurgen Klopp era really hit the ground running. Mane and Salah, two prime examples, but Jota and Diaz as well. Is it easier as a forward to do that because the team creates so many chances?
I think he'll be really excited about getting involved right now because the amount of chances Liverpool are creating. I think probably before the World Cup it might have been tough for him because the team weren't performing that great, probably weren't creating as many chances. But now, actually, as a centre forward watching the game maybe against Leicester where the team are creating loads but not scoring, you're licking your lips and thinking, get me on that pitch, you know, I'm going to be scoring these goals. So I think he'll be really eager to try and get involved and try and put away those chances the team have been creating.
As a new signing, how much does he need things like watching from the stands against Leicester and then the training sessions? Because the training sessions at this time of year, I guess, will be quite short.
Yeah, it's true. You know, there's a lot of pressure on him. You know, he's young, he's come from PSV. This is a massive step up. I know he plays for the Holland national team and he's come off the back of a very successful World Cup, but still, the Dutch league to then come into the Premier League playing for Liverpool, one of the best clubs in the world, it's pressure, you know, and there's a lot of talk about him, so that's not easy. But he also knows Virgil van Dijk. You know, Klopp's a terrific manager, one of the best, if not the best around, and I'm sure he'll embed him in the right way, where there's not too much pressure on him, but whereas also he can be successful, and they do need him right now. So I think you'll probably see him sooner rather than later, as soon as the clearance goes through. Because
we have so many foreign players and so many players from other leagues that come into the Premier League, I think it sometimes can get lost a little bit, that it can take a little bit of time to transition. For someone who plays their football abroad, how difficult is it to go from a league that you know and surroundings that you know to suddenly into something totally new? Do
you know what? It's so true. I'm actually reading Zlatan Ibrahimovic's book at the moment, and just talks about actually how he could have stayed, you know, at the likes of Ajax, at Juventus, where he was comfortable. But you know what? He wanted to challenge himself. He wanted to go and play in people's back gardens, and you know, as a player who's played in 6 different countries, it's tough, you know, it really is. But I look back at my career and that's what's made me the player that I am, to be able to go and, you know, out of your comfort zone, go to play in Italy where, you know, you don't speak the language barrier, and it's not easy, it really isn't. You know, you go away from your comforts, from your family, from your friends, being able to speak the same language, you know, and then he's got this added pressure of coming to the biggest league in the world, at probably the biggest club in the world. So it's not easy, and it's a brave move, you know, because he was a superstar at a top club, and he's come away from that to maybe be a bit of a smaller fish in a massive club. So I give credit to him, and I really hope it's a successful move for him.
Tough thing with Zlatan is he lacks confidence, doesn't he, poor old boy? Let's talk about the threat that Liverpool faced today, because last season they were here, it was a rip-roaring 3-3 draw. Are Brentford a better Premier League outfit than they were last season?
I think so, yes, I really do. I think they're in great form. I think they've got the hot, except for Haaland, the hot striker in the league. You know, Ivan Toney's got 12 goals so far, 3 assists. He is on fire, in the form of his life. And I think from what I hear, the injury might not have been as bad as what we thought, so he'll probably be involved today. And, you know, and we're leaking goals, you know, so if you give him half a chance, he's going to punish you. So that's something that Liverpool really need to be focused on at all times. You know, I feel like in a lot of the games recently, the 2 centre-halves, strikers have been able to drift in between them. These two need to be picking him up today. He can't have any free space, but they haven't just got him. They've got some key players in midfield as well. So I think whatever team Jurgen Klopp picks today, every single one of those players needs to be at 100% to get a result.
Just to touch on the midfield point before we come back to Tony, actually, a lot of people thought, well, this could be tricky for Brentford this season, because in January last year, Christian Eriksen almost dragged them through because they were beginning to bomb a little bit before he arrived. But he's gone to Manchester United, and here they are in mid-table, looking pretty good.
Yeah, you know, and this is the beautiful thing about this club. Actually, being a Liverpool fan myself, if I wasn't to support Liverpool, you'd almost want to support Brentford, because they're that type of team that they just have, you know, a real humility about them, no big egos, you know, they're just honest, hard-working players. But do you know what? That hard work brings a bit of quality with them as well. And, you know, they're what, 10th in the league, in the Premier League right now, in great form, with a great manager, great crowd, great club. It's just got a real good feel factor about it.
And as for Tony, from a striker's perspective, he looks like he's got a lot. He's a bully. He's very calm. His penalties are great. He's a real handful. Yeah,
and do you know what? Not getting picked as well, you know, for that World Cup, I think would really have made him even hungrier. He deserved to go, I think, in my opinion. The form that he was in before the World Cup, I actually think England definitely could have used him in that World Cup. So he'll be almost, you know, saying, right, you should have picked me. I had good form before, I'm showing good form after. You know, obviously the controversy with things going on, obviously behind the scenes, you never know what's going to happen. So he's probably just enjoying his football as much as he can right now, and he's doing a terrific job.
You made the point right at the top that at the moment, Liverpool are winning games without being wonderful. Leicester would be a prime example from last Friday, where they got a helping hand twice from Wout Fast. But particularly over Christmas, when it's 3 games in a week, it's not going to be 3 sets of 90-minute perfection, is it?
No, it isn't. It really isn't. I think this is where the squad is really important. You know, you've got a lot of players, Tsimikas that can come in, you know, even looking at Bobby Firmino maybe coming in today. I think it's really important. Klopp was saying that he wants to try and have 2 teams of the same quality. And I think, you know, I can notice a couple of players, maybe Harvey Elliott before the World Cup was probably, I think, in the form of his life, one of our best players. The World Cup, for me, I don't think has maybe done him a lot of good. He just looks a bit rusty at the moment, in my opinion. So I think we need to try and get those players' form back. You know, the likes of Salah as well, get him scoring goals again, Nunes. So, you know, I think that's really important. But yeah, like you said, you're not going to get 90 minutes of perfection, but if we want to be competing and fighting for that top 4, it's got to be pretty close, because every team in the Premier League year on year is getting stronger. And, you know, when you play Liverpool, you turn your game on. Everyone plays at 110%, so it's really important.
That was interesting, actually, when you talk about rediscovering form after a World Cup, because the WSL is very much like you have this big weird break in the middle of the season, and can it be difficult to sort of get yourself going again when you come back?
Yeah, it's very true. You know, I look at my team at Reading, we had a really poor start to the season, lost the first 4 games of the season, you know, were really in the relegation battle, but then actually won our last 3 or 4 games before the break, you know, so it's almost like we didn't really want the Christmas break to come, because we really had found our form and we had connected and we had gelled. So then we've had a couple of weeks off, so it is tough, you know, and it's really important that really they hit the ground running as soon as possible. And, you know, they've had a good couple of results, but now I think then results need to turn into better performances.
Team-wise then, we've asked Tash to pick her 11 for this afternoon. First up, you've gone for Konate back, who probably needs a game. He's had a bit of a break after the World Cup final, but you put him back in today.
Oh, I love him. I really do. I think he's just such an exciting talent. He's got everything. He's quick, he's strong, composed. So I think he's really important for us today. I think Matip didn't have the most confident game against Leicester. So, yeah, I'd like to put him back in at centre-half with Big Verge.
He's in with Big Verge. You've gone for Tsimikas at left back, just potentially with a little bit of a worry about that injury for Andy Robertson. MBE against Leicester. So Tsimikas, again, could do with a game.
Exactly. You know, I saw an interview. I think he's a great character. He always says even if he gets 1 minute or 90 minutes, he's going to give 100%. You know, lots of energy, which is what we need today, I think, against the Brentford team. He's got good quality, and I just think, you know, there's no point in risking Andy Robertson today.
And the other change you've made, you've got Roberto Firmino back in there, and often play with 3 big centre-halves, Brentford. And I guess the plan with Firmino is to sort of drag them back into areas they don't want to go to.
100%, yeah. I think that just a bit of stability. Harvey Elliott, for me, I think he's a world-class player, and I think he's a world-class talent. He's one of my favourite players at Liverpool, but I just think the last couple of games he hasn't looked himself. So I think, yeah, bring back Firmino, a little bit more experience, a bit more security in that holding role in midfield for me. And then I think I'm going to look to put Nunes out left, and then bring Bobby back into the middle. I think his form before the World Cup was really good. He was on a hot streak scoring goals, and I actually like Nunes a little bit out wide. You know, he's quick, you know, he can take people on 1v1, but he can also drift inside as well. So I think those front 3 with Salah on the right will be a real threat for Liverpool today.
Tash, thank you very much indeed for the moment. Let's just signpost then what is coming up over the course of the day on LFC TV and LFC TV Go. 4:30 Matchday Live gets underway. Team news from here at the Gtech Community Stadium. Then you can listen to full audio commentary at 5:30 as Liverpool go for the points, and we will have reaction from here in West London at 7:30. Later on tonight, Go highlights, short highlights available at 9:30. Then you can watch the full game on TV and on Go from midnight, and then midnight tomorrow on the official YouTube and Facebook pages you can watch Inside Brentford with all sorts of behind-the-scenes action from here. We are going to be off now, but we will see you back at 4:30 with team news and lots more else, hoping that Liverpool can start 2023 with maximum points. Bye for now.